Hello, everyone. My name is JD Calderon, and this is Indie Comics Hispania. And again, I brought another fantastic group of independent comic book creators. So please hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video, let everybody know we're here. Without further ado, I'm going to bring in this guy. First time in the seat.
Oh, hey, I'm in the seat. Hey, how's it going? I'm Mark Dudley from Imaginos Workshop, Shining Otaku, man. Nice to be here. I love hanging out with JD.
All right, cool. Yeah, and then I brought in the pinch hitter, because he manifested himself on this show. He mentioned it last Friday, and I was just like, that's not going to happen. Of course, it happened. So there you go. Sometimes you just got to give a man his due.
Proof that you can manifest anything.
Like proof,
want it bad enough, and it can happen.
Yeah.
He astral projected himself here.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. How you doing, Mark? Please introduce yourself.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Mark Bell. I'm a small independent publisher from the Midwest. I publish all ages comics called Spirit and Strange Ranger.
Yeah, cool. We got Marvin, the missing man.
Well, I don't get to come on a lot, so whenever I'm on here, I gotta talk a lot and make trouble. I'm sorry.
But before you start talking a lot, introduce yourself.
You already did.
I mean, I said you're Marvin. You weren't here.
Marvin is learning from me, man. That's a Padawan right there. He's just like, you see my name? Like, what else do you need? It's all right here.
Pittsburgh. We know it. Everybody knows.
What's up, Isaac? Please introduce yourself.
Hi, JD. My name is Isaac Fox. I'm a comic writer out of Jacksonville, Florida. I'm responsible for the Kermesse, Pure Intent, co-writer of Mr. Suzumi's Adult Lessons, Foxy Vacations, our most popular series being Suck You Busted, and a new series about to drop called The Manticore.
See, there you go. That's a good guess, not a miscreant like you guys. Okay?
I'm just boring, that's all.
We like to come in with an air of mystery, like let them figure out what's going on.
That's what they call it these days.
Right. Sure. How you doing, Chris?
Hey, what's up? My name is Chris from Chris Dollar Incorporated, which is not a real incorporation. So don't sue me if you guys own that. But I'm a indie comic writer. I wrote Jazz, Juggernauts Against Zealots, Good Blood Money, Dream Match Revolution, and right now, currently, Braveheart Exile. My mentor is Isaac Fox. He doesn't feel like he's a mentor. I don't care. He's shaking his head. That's just too bad. I gave it to you. And I'm also a indie comic hermit. So you'll see me, then poof, I'm gone for like ever.
Right. And one day we'll get him to come on camera. I don't know when.
What you don't know is he's actually a talking cat. That's why he doesn't want you to see.
Oh, that's what it is? Okay. But you know it's funny, if you really were a talking cat, you'd probably sell more books. I don't care.
Absolutely.
You'd probably sell more books.
I'm a cat guy, so I'm like, look at that.
Exactly.
Just make yourself a cat AI avatar and stick it in there, and you're fine. Yeah,
I can do that.
There you go. All right, gentlemen. So we also the show question, right?
Yeah.
It looks like we're going to have up to 6 to 7 different distributors soon. Is this going to work? And can we make this work?
Tom's making faces already. I see his face.
Okay.
I'll just mute.
He'll just sit there and make faces.
I'll let somebody else go first.
There you go. No, well, this is Chris is in the hot seat, so yeah.
I'm in the hot seat.
Yeah, last man, first man asked the question too.
I'm always in the hot seat apparently with you. I don't really understand. Like, what's the distributors? Who's that? What is that?
What's their role?
So I just dropped a Google Doc into the chat spreadsheet that has all the information on it. If you guys want to pull it up.
Oh, damn.
I came prepared.
The Google Doc known as the whole 9.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I would have homework.
Oh, hold on. I'll pull up something else just to show everybody. I think I have a little thing here.
I just want to say you did this. You did your research because even we're on here. We're never on a list. Well,
You're on
not
my
a
list.
we want to be on usually.
You're on my list.
Hey,
You're on mine, but my list also is the same one Arya Stark used. So do with that as you will.
Oh.
Would never.
So I'll go first because I'm the smallest fish here, right? I'm not doing thousands of books a month or anything like that, and I'm not on this list. But I will tell you, there's two things that are possible here. One, for me, this is opportunity that I can get into some distributors and some places that I had never thought I was ever going to have a chance, because people are opening their doors to allow this to happen. And I think that could be a way about it for me. The other side of this, the problem, like I have a really good relationship with my local, and I talk to the guy every week, and they're overwhelmed and completely confused by the whole thing right now. And it's their business. They're trying to stay on top of it. And
Right.
he's a good guy, but it is incredibly difficult to know who's selling what books at what time and what's available to sell to his customers and what to do pre-orders and things like that. I know he's struggling with that. So I do see it as an opportunity for some small fries like me to get some books into places that I might not have gotten them before or get noticed. But I don't think there's industries like software that go through this, where everybody wants everything in a whole bunch of different companies, and then it all gets consolidated, and then it gets all expanded out again, and then it all gets consolidated again. And we're definitely at the start of this expansion phase, I think. That's my 2 cents.
So, I mean, I like deal with a lot of retailers, and I feel their pain already. And from like JD and I talking to the retailers, they already had a problem before this even started with getting books outside of the system, I'll say. And that now you're talking about increasing the outside of the system by 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's only going to get worse. So now you're going to be getting calls. They're going to get calls continuously. Hey, my book is in this distributor. Hey, my book is in this distributor. And it's going to get to the point where they're just going to close their ears. They're not going to want to deal with all these different pieces. Some stores will, most of them won't. Like there's a list of 500 stores that really deal with indie comics, and it fluctuates between 500 to 550. It used to be only 200 to 300. It's expanded. For what reasons, I don't know. But there's still about 2,000, 2,200 shops available that don't deal with indie books at all. So, I mean, I don't see this as being a plus right now because it's still new. But then the question comes in, who's gonna last? Because warehousing, funding, et cetera, where's it coming from?
All right, fair enough.
well, I don't know. I got a different take on it, to be honest to you. So my take on all of this comes down to this, right? There were multiple distributors in the 80s into the 90s, and the comic shops themselves are the reason that Diamond was a monopoly. Okay? So Diamond, if you know the history, you know that Marvel and DC and other companies, when we had the bubble, they were trying to consolidate everything as much as they could. And the comic shops, they were like, yeah, go, rah, rah, rah. And then you get this monopoly situation. The monopoly situation is never good. Competition from a business standpoint, you always want competition. So, yeah, it may be a little clunky at first, but they've done this before. At least some of the older ones have done this before. So the younger shops, they need to go to some of the older guys and ask them how it was done. So this isn't, again, this may be cyclical, but it's definitely doable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in that instance, some of the younger shops are the ones that are more willing to deal with outside of the system.
Sure.
I know a bunch of shops that even before all this mess happened with Diamond that didn't want to deal with Diamond and were willing to go direct with us. So, I mean, like you say, is that it's a wait and see, because some of these are going to fall off. You know they're going to fall off because, again, warehousing, money. Before we got into Diamond, like I've dealt with maybe 4 or 5 startup distributors didn't last a year.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to see.
All right, cool. Isaac, what are your thoughts?
We're kind of in that first year after mom and dad get divorced where neither one really has anything figured out, and both are promising you a new toy every week, but you don't really know what's going to happen. We're kind of in that phase. So in
Diamond
a year,
is my divorced dad.
in a year, we'll see what happens. Right now, I think it's going to be chaotic. It's going to be everybody trying to figure it out.
Sure.
And everybody, all powers involved, are going to be doing what they can to gain favor with as many other powers as they possibly can. So it's hard to say what'll happen. I think it's just going to be a transition, but it's going to be a sandpapery transition.
Yeah, let's hope it's not too sandpapery. All right, Chris, before I move on to Tom, do you have any, now that maybe it's a little bit more concrete for you, do you have any thoughts on that?
I do. It's mainly if we're gonna have more distributors, I would hope that maybe we get different ones so that we're not all trying to, not trying to consolidate everybody into one one spot, one monopoly. This is a good time to do reconstruction. Now, mind you, we don't have the power to do what they want or how they do it, but I would hope that this would be a good time to break it up and get these people here, these people here, instead of just having one whole area. So, I mean, business wise, it makes more sense, but people going to do what they want to do.
I like to point out too that the last time we had multiple distributors, we had a heyday for indie comics. That's where you got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Bones, the Grendels, the Cerebuses, the Mazes, stuff like that, the Mages and stuff like that. The last time we had multiple distributors because there were distributors who were willing to take a chance on indie guys. Right. And I think at the end of the day that without Diamond's leash, ultimately the industry becomes healthier, and because you're going to have a whole lot more different offerings, and on top of that, a lot of these shop owners are going to have to get more savvy, because there's a shop man by me who they scoffed at indie stuff. Like, I'll go in there and try to sell stuff. They're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, man, we don't do indie stuff." I'm like, "Okay, now Diamond's gone. What are you going to do now?" They're going to have to get a lot more educated on what's out there instead of being lazy. So, I mean, that's my viewpoint as far as concerned.
But the problem with that part is that back then there were 9,000 more shops.
Yes.
So once, like, you have a shrinking landscape, that kind of hurts with the ability for shops to pick up new things.
Well, Marvin, this is the thing. I think that that's kind of the tail wagging the dog, because at the end of the day, with more choices, then there probably will be even more shops later. So, I mean,
Okay. Well, I mean, I would hope that, like, you have a balloon of new shops opening. I mean, there's new shops opening all the time.
Sure.
I like to see 9,000, 10,000 shops available again, but like I said, that everything's wait and see for right now.
Sure.
I don't know if it's just the way for other guys or not, but around here, all the comic shops have shrunk their comic section down to almost nothing and really expanded more to tabletop.
Right.
Sure.
So, like you said, I'm hoping that will help.
Toys and Funkos. That's the
tabletop and statues. A lot of statues of Spider-Man and anime characters. A lot of that they expanded into, but their comics.
Yeah, I come from that tabletop world too, and so in that world, after COVID, even that was taking a hit because Diamond still was kind of one of their bigger distributors, And so now the Diamond's going, hopefully that will, flourish a little bit more too.
It's not exactly comics, but it is a similar vein. If you guys
Sure,
ever follow like some of the big Cartoon Network kind of creators, they recently had I think it was a convention or a meeting where they had J.G. Quintel, Kotovsky, Craig McCracken, the guys that were really big behind Cartoon Network's powerhouse shows. And they all collectively had the exact same thing to say about the industry. And it was green light more stuff, stop remaking and green light. And I feel like everything from anime to comics to movies is in that same holding pattern of let's just reboot this. And like you guys are saying, and I hope you guys are right, that this creates more of a wave of people being willing to quote unquote green light new things.
One more thing with that though, Isaac, and I'll shut my mouth for today. Look, I also, again, I JD tell you I wear plenty hats, okay? So I'm also in that screenwriting world right now. We just actually got management recently. So the thing in that screenwriting world is that these guys, so like a lot of screenwriters, they're firing the screenwriters who don't have their own IPs. If you got your own IPs right now in the screenwriting world, you sitting kind of pretty. So again, they're looking for IPs. So this is what I mean by, expanding the menu with more distributors. I think like Isaac, Marvin, I do agree with you. Yeah, it's going to be rocky, but I think that the winners will come out and it'll be more winners than losers, and we'll see a different landscape. And that'll be better for the Hollywood gang too.
Man, I hope you are right. I really do.
All right, Tom. I know you've been chomping at the bit, so go for it.
Comic book retailers don't give a shit about us, guys. That's the bottom line. The comic book retailers, and we've heard multiple people in here say the same thing. They can't be lazy. They got to get more savvy. They got to be. They don't want to be that. They haven't wanted to be that for a long time.
They're going to die then.
That's that. And in that context, you're watching us go from 9,000 stores to 2,000 stores. You're watching us go from comic book stores to comic book /magic /game /pop /whatever. They don't care about us, partially and most importantly because we don't sell enough units through them to be relevant. In other words, if someone carries Big Dog Ink and they carry 5 copies in their book on their shelf, and we go out of business the next day, losing 5 copies of sales doesn't affect them. Their business model is Marvel, DC, and the key image things, Walking Dead, and all that kind of stuff, and of course IP, anything that they can get IP, Transformers, G.I. Joe. That's the stuff that to them the customer base is like, I want these things, right? It is very rare for a customer to walk in off the street and go, "Where's your Big Dog Ink section? Where's Oswald Chronicles?" Like that doesn't happen. It is such a tiny percentage of that's why we have such a problem here. It's not that Diamond wasn't taking in indies. I exist at Big Dog Ink because Diamond took a chance on me. I was nobody. I had no names on my books. They don't know who the hell I am. They have no idea if I would produce. They gave me an opportunity to become who I am now 15 years later. So while I have problems with Diamond, I can definitely look at what they were doing, how they were doing it, why they were doing it, and I understand all of it. Was it right? Was it wrong? At the end of the day, who knows? But you can't sell as a distributor to a retailer that doesn't have a customer base that wants that odd thing that we're talking about here, right? You can't. So that's where Diamond came in and said, look, we have these minimums and you've got to reach this and so on and so on and so on. That's business. So if you're going to come in and say now Filbo and Critical Blast and whoever else, well, they're going to take indies. Okay, great. So what? You're still going to sell 5 copies through these guys to a store, and maybe 500 stores take a chance on 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 copies. Like there's no growth in that, right? The only way that a distributor has value, and this is the part that I've always bitched about Diamond for, the only time that a distributor has any sort of extra value over any other distributor is if they're willing to go to the mat for you at the retail space. In other words, let's say Filbo is like, oh, we're going to carry all this stuff. Great. what are they doing to go tell comic book stores about all these indies that they carry and that they need to be carrying 5 to 10 copies of these things? My guess is nothing, or very little. They do the bare minimum, right? Hey, we're here's our catalog, and this is our stuff, and this is what we have. That's great, but it has to go to another level. And that's what Diamond never did either. They had access to everything. They had freaking millions of dollars flowing through them forever, and they never did any sort of advertising, marketing. They made the retailer pay for that stuff on their own. They did co-ops, of course, but there was never any sort of top-down help in this industry, and there hasn't been for decades. So when I look at all of this is chaos. This is the comic book store's worst nightmare, trying to figure out where everybody is and how do I get their stuff. Diamond is sinking themselves. I can't even comprehend what these guys are doing. They're literally just filling their boat with water like almost every day. I don't know what it is that they're going to be. Massive Indies is interesting, but it shouldn't even exist. Like Lunar should just be opening their doors to people, like we talked about. Like Lunar, open your doors. But Lunar has the same thought processes as Diamond. Lunar's like, look, we can't take on all this stuff. We're not selling enough units to make it worth our time. They're so small. They're growing. They are growing, but they're so small right now that they just can't take it on. Hence, Massive Indies comes in. I like that thought process. I know companies have used it. Curious to see how it goes. Like AP, Antarctic Press, they're going through Massive Indies, which means my book will end up going through that at some point. So I'm curious to see how it goes. But at the end of the day, the harder you make it on a retail store that's already been struggling for, I don't know, a decade to try and keep comic books alive, this is a disaster waiting to happen, an absolute disaster. And I don't have an answer for it other than, Lunar sort of picking up the slack. But with Massive Indies doing it, Lunar's not going to do anything. They're just going to say, hey, go to Massive Indies. They'll take care of that. Again, passing the buck down the line rather than just sort of saying, we're an industry, let's do this right now. Let's do this and grow this industry. Nobody wants to grow the industry. Everybody wants Marvel and DC. They want Batman, Spider-Man on the shelf. That's what they want. They don't care that Big Dog Inc. hasn't been on the shelf in 8 years. They're not missing me. So they're not going to miss any of us, guys. And the question that leads sort of my question, if we want to roll into that, I'll let JD answer his question. But my question is, why are we still trying to get into these markets when we know it doesn't work anymore?
All right. So I will answer my question and roll into your question.
Yeah, go.
So the reason I pulled up this graphic is because I found it interesting. Because Penguin Random House, there's no snowball chance in hell any of us can get into that one. Right. Lunar, there's more of a chance, but it's kind of like almost as bad. Diamond, we don't even know if they're going to be around for another 2 weeks. Like they literally just might fall off the shelf, right? So what are we left with? We're left with Massive Indies, which I hope works. I think I don't know. I haven't looked at their terms of service recently. When I first did, it didn't look good.
They've adjusted.
Right. Yeah. That's what I heard, which is good. Philbo, listen, I want nothing but the best for Phil. I hope that works. You understand? I hope he can make that successful. That's the spot where we can all go. Critical Blast, I know RJ, mad cool dude. I just don't know enough about his business model. I don't know what he's doing. But really cool dude, very solid. I hope that works as well. But again, we're being ghettoized, right? To just a couple of places. But it could be interesting to see how, this plays out, because the markets could expand. You understand? We might see retailers come back on some level, but who's to say? Now, to get it to roll into Tom's question, I can only answer for myself, right? I have a business model, right? As insane as it is, because Tom thinks I'm crazy. But the way it works is my business model is I release, we'll use Passing Queens and Making Homes, which is a title from Oswald, right? That's just what it is. So I release that in black and white, right? Then I released it in trade paperback form, right? I was releasing it in comic book form, then trade paperback form, black and white. Then I re-released it in full color, right, as a comic books. Eventually, I will be re-releasing that out in trade paperback form in full color.
That's just making a comic with extra steps.
Yes, but you got to understand though, each step of that, I'm doing Kickstarters and I'm making more revenue.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And then the final step of that trajectory was to step into the direct market and then release it there. Now, there are ways you can make money on, and you're not going to make a lot of money, but you can make money on 500,000. If I could sell 1,000 books through the direct market, it's just a little extra cash, right? So if I have my issue 1 where I raised, I don't know, X amount of dollars, right, in profit, whatever I release in the direct market, that's profit at this point. You understand?
Well, it's profit assuming you sell enough to pay for your printing cost. Because you have to print the new books.
No, of course. But I'm confident enough that I would sell at least 500 to 1,000 copies.
Okay.
Right. But like I said, if I reach 1,000 copies, I know I can cover the cost of the print run and probably walk away with probably 80 cents to $1 per book. Right. Also depends where I get the books printed. I'm planning on China, tariffs and all that shit. We don't have to get into that one. But still, it's a few extra bucks that goes back into funding the whole thing. Right. So basically, that's my thought process. I'm not looking, I know it's not going to be Spawn #1. That's not what I'm looking at. Right. I'm just looking at, I'm just looking at it just as a little bit extra of a boost. That's all I'm looking at for. So that's my thought process. And that's the only reason I'm trying to get back in. I started out in 92, and the only place we had to go was the various distributors that we had. We had Diamond with Capital City, Heroes World, Friendly Franks, and
Friendly Franks,
Yep. Comics Hawaii. There was a litany of other ones. There was a whole bunch of them. And, coming out the gate, I could sell 3,000 to 5,000 books. That's just not possible now, or just, it's not as viable or feasible. Right. Which is unfortunate because back in the day, you could do that. Sure. And the system was so much better. Like I could go, listen, I would get the invoices from all of the distributors, right? I would fax them to my printer. And from those invoices, they would print my books on credit. Okay. Ship them, give them to Diamond and the various other, they would ship them off to the various distributors. I would get paid and then pay them. Okay. So I didn't even have to pull money out of my own pocket half the time. The initial upfront books I did, but after the first one, forget about it. It was like boom, 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 boom. But that all went away the dodo once Diamond became Monopoly and they fucked it all up. But
that's called a booming market where it's a trade and barter system, right? Where things are working like they're supposed to, you can trade and barter with things. Like I'm trading you corn for wheat, right?
Well, I was trading cash for comics.
Well, yeah,
credit.
It's paper for paper. It's paper for paper.
Paper for paper, right?
But when you allow a monopoly to take place, and you lobby for that monopoly, and you cut the head off of the system that's supposed to protect people from that, then you start problems. But I think in some instances, I'd really like for us to do that retail show again. I want to talk to the retailers about this. I want to know.
That's smart. That's real smart.
I talked to a few of them at Heroes, and they weren't happy at all. I did talk to one guy, and I asked him, I said that, so you just told us that your customers are dropping Marvel and DC books and they're going back to like Copper Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, whatever.
Right.
What are you doing to save that customer? Are you like pushing them towards like an indie book that's very similar to like an Avengers? And he said no. And I said, why? Are you just going to lose a customer? And he said we don't do that. I'm like, so you're just willing to let a customer go by not offering an alternative to a book that they were reading?
Well, there was also the retail stories that I hear all the time of things like, well, my store doesn't carry Zenoscope because they don't want to carry Bad Girl stuff. I mean, again, retailers actively choose not to sell things to customers all the time, and it drives me crazy.
Right. And I've heard from other like I went like people will go to in their stores, hey, I want to order this book, and the retailer would say no. Like, how do you tell your customer you're not going to get something they're asking for? It's like you said, they're spiting their customers and biting their own faces off. Despite it feels like sometimes.
We got
a major comic book chain here, JD. You know who they are, and you'll know what I'm talking about when I mention this. A friend of mine went there to order copies of Rurouni Kenshin, and they told him, "Aren't you too old to be reading that?"
Wow.
You really don't want any money, do you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that a lot of these guys, regardless of what we think, and again, Tom, I know you talk to them and they seem professional, but you got a lot of guys here who couldn't run a pop stand, man, that are running these comic shops. So again, when we talk about their business savvy, I'm not impressed. Never have been. So at the end of the day,
trying to sell water in the desert.
Well, we got a dude, man, here who came from the toy business. You probably know him, Tom. Bob, who runs Comic City. Yeah, Bob runs that thing like a well-oiled machine because he came from the toy business.
There are very good comic book stores. Let me be very clear. There are really good comic book stores in America, like genuinely good. I am not anti-comic book store, but I've been to enough of the just sort of the smaller versions that still exist, and I watch them and I'm like, I can see what's on their shelf. I can see how they're talking to their customers, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, like these guys, if DC decided they weren't going to make books anymore tomorrow, this place would be out of business at the snap of a finger. How are you not diversifying your your product base in any capacity?
Like even with Comic City, they I mean, maybe because we was there, we helped put the roof on the place. I don't know, but they take our stuff, man, and they sell our stuff. Usually, and I'm happy about that. But then you got other comic stores around here, we all from Michigan. I mean, Tom and I, we from Michigan. You got other comic stores we know, dude, they won't touch our stuff. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to beg you. But, I mean, it is what it is. I'm a businessman. So at the end of the day, if they come asking later, I'm going to accommodate them. But I'm still going to give them the side eye like, wow, you just wake up. What happened?
In my early days, there was a store in Vegas, and we went to Vegas and we went to all the stores, and most of them were very cool. And there was one store who I was like, he was with a customer, and I was wandering around the store. I'm like, okay, this guy's got some indies and so on. And I walk up and I'm like, hey, I'm Tom, and I'm Big Dog Inc. He says, look, we don't talk to people that aren't in Diamond. And I was like, okay, I'm in Diamond. I can show you where we are. Let me point you to the page. Well, all right, you can, if you want me to see your books, you can email me PDFs or thing. I'm like, I have books in my car. I can bring them in. I can put them right in your hand. No, we don't do it that way. Send me an email with you. I'm just like, yo, are you kidding me? Right. I can't even comprehend that mindset of like, I can't put a comic book in your hand so you can see the quality of it up close. And reading a PDF doesn't mean anything. Like feel the paper. Like, is it a quality product? Right. And this guy just would not have me go to my car and come back with a book. So, I mean, I have struggled with comic retailers my entire 15 years of existence. There are great ones. There are ones that I still deal with direct. They still ask me to come do signings. Of course, I'm going to be there. But so many of them are just like, I can't be bothered by you. And that's why I think that, all of this expansion and whatever is fine and dandy. But I don't see it helping really us in any serious capacity in any long term.
Well, I think from a business standpoint, they're going to die. It's painful, but they're going to die. So
guys, hold on a second, because we're kind of monopolizing the conversation.
I'm
so
sorry.
Mark, Bell,
just call me Diamond Tom.
There's a $2 here. Yeah, I know. So what are your thoughts on Tom's question?
Okay, so a couple of things. First of all, we all know that guy who's had the collection. He started his store. Mm-hmm. He had no business sense. He sold his collection, and his store is dribbling and drabbling by. And those are going to be tough people to get your indie book into those people. Mm-hmm. But like going back to my local, I've seen the Marvel and DC rack shrink in his store and the indie racks get bigger. Now I'm in a university town, which is perfect for a bookshop, which is perfect for an indie bookshop. Okay. I realize I live in a privileged situation. But those retailers who don't want to talk to me, okay, I'm not going to waste my time not talking to you. I'm just going to go.
Right.
And I agree with Tom. The biggest thing that Tom said that I agree with is it's great to have shops. It's great to have Wednesday Warriors. It's great to have this culture. It's great to have podcasts like this. I need to talk to moms. I need to talk to kids in school who have never picked up a comic book in their life. Right. I need to talk to families. I need to talk. That's why I do so many library shows, is because I get to talk to people who don't do comic book stores and do comic book festivals. They're like, I don't want to go to the comic book store. You know, I don't want to take my kids there or something, but I'll take them to the library because I know what's going to be there. And that has been really what I've spent the last year trying to do is get my books into people's hands who maybe haven't looked at a comic book in 10 years or 15 years, or maybe even never looked at a comic book. Because my core group of readers I want are young women who want to make comics, and young women, young people, particularly young people of color or LGBTQ. So I'm trying to get those books out to those people. Sure. And that is not, Quentin, who really loves Shazam, and he's got like all the Shazam books. And those guys are great. They'll argue all the stories with you, but sure. I want to talk to a retailer who's family friendly, who's open, who's looking at indie books, because that's the problem is that DC and Marvel books are crap in some respects, and the indie books are where it's more exciting. Like, how many books do you read a month that are indie books? Yeah, right. I read way more indie books than I do Marvel and DC. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I feel when I go through my list of the week, I'm like, I'll read this later. But then I get, something from somebody I've never seen before, and I'm like, whoa, okay, I'll look at this.
That's fair. Marvin, did you already have your go, or you got anything else to add to that?
No, I was good.
All right, Isaac, you're up.
Repeat the question one more time. I want to make sure I understand it. It's been a while.
Why are we as independent comic creators still worried about getting into retail, the comic book retail store environment?
Oh, that's going to be a very short answer. I'm not. I don't care.
There we go.
I don't give a damn. I used to be a retail manager in college, and I can tell you that I worked for a place that sold primarily marine electronics. And over the course of about 2 years, it just became a clothing store because that's what sold. So we started taking away Garmin and Ray-Ban and all that fancy stuff and went to Columbia Clothing instead. I'm not concerned because the reality of it is I'm probably never, not saying anybody here won't, but at least I don't think I will, have the money to market to millions of people at one time. Marvel and DC have been spending probably billions over the course of their lifetimes to get you to know, as soon as you see the bat symbol, that's Batman. If you see the Spider-Man logo, you know it's Spider-Man. I don't care if you drop somebody in the middle of a village in the Amazon and you show them that symbol, they might probably recognize it. We don't have that legacy, and I don't have that kind of money. Maybe you guys do. I don't. What I think, instead of focusing on this great, grandiose, world-conquering strategy, it's a little smarter to focus on conquering a city or a country, to look at what you can do with that on a smaller scale, as opposed to trying to force your way into these big retailers. Tom is correct that they're not going to give you a chance. Shelf space, I can tell you from experience from managing it, shelf space is expensive, extremely expensive. And when you walk into a store and you see a big display for X product, the store didn't pay for that. The company that owns that product paid for that display to have it up front. And that price point was high, and I mean high. I don't have that kind of money. So instead of worrying about getting into shops, maybe local shops are a good idea because you have you building local support is always a smart thing to do.
Mhm.
I know in Jacksonville, I've got some touches like that, and it's a great thing to have. But you're better off, I think, as an indie, focusing on taking the money and time you put into that and getting into conventions and just talking to people face to face. You're going to have a better experience. You're going to make way more money. You're going to have a better audience, and people respond so much better to that than walking into a comic store.
Okay, that's fair. Chris, what are your thoughts?
I'm just like Isaac, where I don't really have the full intention to make that full cycle to going into comic book shops or going to a publisher. Mainly because I'm lazy, but also because I've heard all of the like terrible stories behind it, and I would rather just do bad on my own, so to speak. But if the ecosystem gets better and more welcoming, I might consider it. But as of right now, no, it's not something I want to do.
Oh, come on, Chris. I know you want to walk into a comic book store and be like, carry my book. And the guy's like, I would carry it, but I just dropped my pen under my desk. Could you get down there and get it for me? Come on. Sometimes you got to take one for the team.
The like closest thing that I've done is that I do have consignment going on. But like that's about it.
All right, that's fair. Mark, did you have anything to add?
My thing, I agree with Isaac and Chris, but there's a caveat to that. You think like, again, I'm from the old think locally, think globally, act locally school, right? So yeah, you want to lock down your local shops and stuff and get a relationship with them people as well. I mean, I think the con strategy is great, but I think that that you got to build on your strategies. Okay, you absolutely do the cons. And if you can get in with a couple local shops so that, let's say, you're at the con and you can be like, oh, you guys, I ran out today, so you guys can go catch me at this shop or that shop, that's cool too. Like what we do web comics first, okay? We do web comics first, black and white web comics, and then we collect them, sometimes in the floppy, sometimes into trades, and if people like them enough, we color them, and we go from there. It's just, I mean, again, like I said, thinking locally is smart. That's basically what it comes down to, I think.
All right, cool. Tom, you want to answer your question, or did you already do that?
I mean, we live in an era right now of like it's social currency, right? If you wear a Superman shirt, people are like, "Oh, yay!" If you wear a Big Dog Inc. shirt, they're like, "What the fuck is that?" Like, unfortunately, we're at a point where only a small percentage will literally want to know what that is, and follow it up. So that's kind of where we are with comic book stores. Is these guys know they can sell Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. They know they can sell Pops, and they know they can sell, these things that when somebody walks in, the general person, which is what comic book retailers have, is just sort of general nerd people, right? I can sell this stuff to them, but I can't necessarily sell Zenoscope. I can't necessarily sell Big Dog Inc. I can't necessarily sell this stuff to these guys. So I'm going to buy 1-2 copies for my pull list, nothing for the shelf. And then there's nothing for a publisher at that level as far as sales go. So if you're going to go in there, you have to understand that you have to use that as a marketing tool. Whatever you're going to spend, if it costs you $2,000 to be in a distributor and get sold into retail stores, that's fine. As long as you're making that $2,000 back, keep doing it, cycle it, keep it going. It's a marketing expense. You're never going to suddenly like explode, but you might start to see tiny growth if you do that long enough. But I think that if you're going to go and do the hustle and try and get yourself into stores in any capacity, I think you're better off hustling cons, because now you're talking to the actual customer who buys the book, and you can sell it to them, and then you can tell them, here's my website, go get more later on. Here's my Kickstarter. This is what we do every quarter, and you can get the new stuff. Like, direct to customer is where everything is leaning right now. And when you go into the retail space and you got to go through the distributor chain, there are so many links in that chain to get to the customer at the end. it just makes it really difficult. So, you know, we left on purpose that system about 7 years ago, and focused strictly on direct to customer crowdfunding, Comic Cons, eBay, website, live sales that we do on Facebook. And it's changed the game for us. So,
hey, Urban, what's up?
All right, cool. Well, here's something to go against what you were saying. Back in the day, we had these shirts for Tall Tales, right? And being an old school comic book fan, you know, you have Ben Grimm. He would say, you know, it's clobbering time, right? So, of course, I have a character. He screams out whenever he runs to the battle, death to all those who oppose the cause. So I had that blazoned on the back of a shirt. And it would say Tall Tales, and I had the image of the character on it. And all the time, I would get people say, "What's the cause?" And I would be like, "Read the book," and I would hand them a card, right? And you know that's how I worked that. But I mean,
that's good though. That's marketing. That's really pushing the envelope of you know what your brand is, and that's fantastic. I do a similar thing with Critter. At the top of the book, it says the second best superhero comic book in the universe. It's an easy icebreaker because people see it and they're like, what does that mean? What's the first best comic? You know, so you can do things like that 100% if you're, you know, kind of forward thinking in that. That's great.
And so, I mean, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
Okay, so we all have IP that nobody knows in the beginning, right? Well, still, right? And I have IP that I'm trying to get out to people. Now I do all ages books. So one of the things I did, and hopefully, Tom, this is kind of what you're talking about, is I made a coloring book. Now, this coloring book I made at home with images I bought already from artists. Now, I gave the artist credit. I put all the artist information in the coloring book because artists deserve to be paid, and they should be paid. But if I paid them, I can use their artwork.
Yes.
So I made a coloring book of all that IP, and I give that out. I make it at home. I print it all at home. My kids put them together, right? I hand them out free at the cons, right? Anybody who wants a free book. Kids go to conventions and they can't buy $25 pops. They don't have anything and they want something right away. It's a space where a kid wants to have something. I put a book in their hand to say, that's yours. It's free. They go away and they color those characters. They come back the next year. Hey, wait a minute. That's that kid. That's that person I colored. Or, Mom, look at this cool stuff that this guy gave me. Or right in front of them, right? They bring, like I had a library show in Ann Arbor. I had kids bring their parents to my booth. I'm cool. That is exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, and this is another one. I get when I do wear the Oswald shirts to Disney World, it's usually the cast members who are like, "Where's that from?"
That's cool. Yeah, that's real cool.
You know what I mean? And it is one of those things where I do have to hand out QR code cards, and it's here. You know, it's weird, but you know, it's one of those things though. It's like I think we're at a point where I mean, it's just all, I mean, really just on the edge. So Marvin. Let us know about the edge.
6. I give that a 6.
Great segue. You done good.
Get him, Marvin.
So this is the Kickstarter for the first series of Edge action figures. Blaine's up first. So this has been years in the making, and we're finally going to get this thing done. T-words notwithstanding, because we're still waiting on final costs. So I know what to put the number on the Kickstarter. So it's also going to include a one-shot book, Blaine High Stakes, which takes place in a casino. If you've seen Smoking Aces, it's going to be similar to that.
Yeah.
So there'll be poker chips as part of the deal also.
All right, cool. Now, just like, what's a general sense of when are you thinking to launch? Obviously, you're still running numbers and stuff. But what do you?
Hopefully to launch in the July, near the end of July. Yeah.
All right, cool. So everybody, go sign up. Hey, look, okay, that's why I'm not on there. All right, but I know I put that on my docket.
Your segue game was tight.
I already put that in my newsletter mentions for July.
Thank you.
That's okay. All right, good. All right. So next up, Mr. Isaac Fox, do you want me to play this video? Isaac? Hello?
Isaac, you muted. I
You're
think.
muted, Isaac.
Sorry, I was dealing with a cat catastrophe behind me. You cats, you know what it's like. I meant to send the promotional page link, but if you want to take a look, be my guest. The page is about 99% done. It's not quite ready, but by all means, be my guest.
When all that's left of this endless war are broken, heavy hearts, and we need something so much more than the sum of all its parts. As calm as the mountain that never bowed the storm, as wild as the bayou at the base of its mighty form, as cold as the summit, its frosted and frigid peak, as hot as the fire that burns deep beneath. Who is all this and more? The Manticore. The Manticore.
All right, cool.
That's pretty cool.
You guys ever played Marvel Rivals by chance? Anybody ever done that?
Yeah.
The singer of that song is Moon Knight. So that was
Cool.
sometimes I get lucky in the people that I know, people who are wildly more talented and successful than myself. This will launch the current. It looks like I should be able to launch this next month on the 22nd. The book is finished. Anything we do on Kickstarter is already done. So the entire book is finished, put together, and ready to go to the print shop. All the reward items, posters, standees, whatever, that's all been made, and it's already ready to go to the shops and get made. This book is a bit different from how I normally do things. It's a new series. JD, I think you've seen my Suck You Busted series. That has been my most wildly successful by a long shot. So that got us thinking about what we're going to do, how we're going to handle future stories. So we decided to work into something a little bit more, focusing again back on the ecchi. Tonal shift, this is not for kids. Put your kids away. This is for adults only. As you definitely will notice as you scroll through the imagery.
Sure.
It's censored to be safe, but yeah. This is an ecchi story. It has 5 chapters in it. Each chapter is done by a different artist, colorist, or combo of, including Krius, the Zong brothers, Aldi Fazan, Nox Kuro, Mitsu Blinger. It's a long list of people with a bunch of different. As always, we do a bunch of variant covers. All 5 chapters are right there. This book is issue 0. Essentially, what has happened in this world is we are at a world war and nobody is making any ground. So a particular intelligence officer decides that we're all fighting one-on-one. What if we put together a mixed species unit consisting of all of our allies into one, creating the Manticore, which I can only take half credit for that name, unfortunately. My letterer helped me come up with that one. So issue 0 tells how each of these characters gets chosen to join the best of the best, the most elite, which is not what they are. Part of the rule of the Manticore is that they are not allowed to win by being that good. So they have to win through some kind of strange happenstance or circumstances that just simply allow it. We do have something we're doing this campaign. If my camera will even show this up, which it probably won't. Of course it won't. Every single backer on every tier gets a trading card. We may or may not be making it doesn't like me at all. We may or may not be making a trading card game. So no matter what tier you get, you're going to get a trading card outside of the base tier. So you have red tiers and green tiers. Red gets you the red trading card, green gets you the green one. Yeah. Combos get you both. And if you buy multiple, then you get multiple cards. Big tiers get everything. Stretch goals have some cards in it. There's the Ugly Fox Special that has a very special metal card in it with our liquid cooled cover. That may be the most subtly perverse thing I think I've ever created, as we have a machine gun or a tank cannon being cooled by liquid, but there's a woman sitting on it. And if you don't know what that means, I'm going to go ahead and blame your sex ed teachers for not teaching you very well. The internet probably has some things you can learn from. I pulled in every heavy hitter that I've worked with, Cute Sexy Robots, who's fantastic, and I am delighted that I can get to continue working with them. They will not work with anybody else in comics. I don't know why. People have offered them more money, but I do love CSR. Demon Lord Dante was one of our big hitters. Dr. Zex, he's new with us, but he's fantastic. I will tell you guys, since we all make comics, I did talk to some people on Kickstarter who are far bigger than myself, who make way naughtier stuff than I do. And what they told me is that because of Stripe, Kickstarter says no holes, basically, and you can interpret that as you will. As a result, some of these covers were modified from their original designs, including the one of the two booties, to allow that. But we are doing something different this time, where our campaign has secret tiers, meaning Kickstarter, as you guys probably have seen it, have brought in tiers you can only access if you have the link to them. I think that's a fantastic idea. It definitely makes it a little simpler when you get special requests from backers asking for this cover like this, or maybe a copy of this or this. I don't have to just make it for them and hope they grab it before somebody else does. Now I can just directly give them that link. We have secret tiers on this one, which contain items that are only available to members of our Discord server. So if you're in there, congratulations, you get access to very special items that nobody else is going to get to see. And I approach Kickstarter with the mentality that this is someone's first time ever seeing it. Baby's first step into a Kickstarter. In this case, the baby better be an adult. So everything is explained. We tell you how to pick your rewards, how to do your add-ons, how to do all of that to help you out. Something I noticed guys like Common America do is they pretty much, anybody who has a remote grasp of the English language, or in his case Japanese, can go hop on there and figure out exactly what to do and how to do it. My goal originally was to make it where if you get on one of my campaigns, you can get whatever you want within 5 minutes. Admittedly, this being a new series might take a little longer because there's a lot of reading to do, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. Then again, if you don't like reading, why are you here for comic books? Well, some of those covers have at least 2 good reasons to be here anyway, so I understand. I always offer some of our previous series. We're doing a thing now. If it has an orange star on it, that means it's not going to reprint. Most of my books don't reprint anymore outside of the A and B covers. A couple of them here and there will, but it became too cumbersome to store that many books. So we're just not reprinting everything as we once did. It's like you busted on there. That is still my most popular series. It dwarfs everything else at a ratio of about 3-to-1. And its 4th issue will be probably either late this year or early next year, and I'll wrap up the first arc. But Manticore is a brand new thing. It's a World War I inspired high fantasy. If you enjoy high fantasy stories, if you like Vox Machina, if you like more heavy waifu series like Monster Musume, I know JD knows what I'm talking about, that kind of stuff, you're going to be in heaven.
All right, cool. Now, this is the first issue, or is it just is it a 32-page book, 48-page book, 24-page? What are we looking at?
This one is, I think this one's 36. Okay. It's the first issue, so it's technically first. We're calling it 0. The way this series will ultimately play out is it will be told in 2-issue-long missions, and it's not. You don't have to read one to go into the other one. You can jump in anytime you want and not really miss out on anything. That way, it's very new reader friendly. I didn't want to do like X-Men, where I have to go back and read 30 years of books to figure out what's going on right now. I feel like it's a turn off for a reader, especially in the indie market. So this is anybody can hop in. 0 just tells how everybody gets chosen for this new unit. It doesn't go quite as naughty as some of the future issues do. Missions 1 and 2 are already about 80% done. So that's another 4 books in the series that are already almost done. This has been ultimately probably in the works for about 4 or 5 years. It was created entirely by talking to our backers. We talk to them, we poll them, we sit down and have chats with them and find out, what do you guys like? What do you want to see more of? What do you feel resonates for you? So we decided to work with that. I love that Song Brothers cover. That's one of my new favorites of all time. Trying to move away from pinup covers and to make them sexy but more dynamic, a little more action-based, more sensible. Sometimes you fight a monster and the only thing that's destroyed are your clothes. It happens. We've all been there. We've all seen Dragon Ball Z. His shirt's always getting destroyed.
Yeah. When are you looking to launch?
The 22nd of next month, so the 22nd of July.
All right, cool. Listen, you always put together, top quality campaign, top quality book. So I don't think you're gonna have an issue.
You're too kind, man. Thank you. We have, I think I just checked it. We have currently 332 pre-signups, which I think is a new record for us. So I'm really very happy for that. And just to remind everybody, when you back our books, that money doesn't go to some big corporation. It feeds us. It feeds the cast. It feeds my artists. It keeps our lights on. So thank you for supporting us.
Oh yeah. All right. So next, Chris, we got Braveheart. What are we looking at?
Sorry about that. My daughter walked in here. Braveheart Exile is a brand new format for something different that we normally do, but it's a Western cyberpunk story. This is the first issue. The overall story is a innocent woman has been accused of a political assassination with the same gun that she custom made. So she has to fight off bounty hunters and figure out who the real killer is. In this first issue, you get a nice introduction to how she formats, or not formats, how she has all her bounty hunter attackers come at her and what she does with them, and the small, like story inquiry. On this campaign, there's also stickers. There are past stickers from previous campaigns and my other books that are sold at I don't know what the word is. What's the word when it's like you can buy one thing?
Shopping.
Fine. You can buy shopping. Thank you, Isaac. But
that's your boy.
I'm
So
away for this.
is it like an add-on or something?
Yeah. It was a different word I wanted to use just to feel intelligent, but it's Sunday. So there's Dream Match Revolution, which is a wrestling comic that we have. Good Blood Money, which is our first mature book that we have. Also deals with assassinations to a different degree. And then, of course, our flagship, which is Jazz 1, 2, and 3. Jazz 3 just finished up on Kickstarter a few months ago. Braveheart Exile I think it ends tomorrow morning at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Mm-hmm. So just kind of trying to do that last 12 hour or so
Push.
Time. Yeah, but this the reason why I say it's a different format than what we normally do is that we normally have the black and white screen tone manga feel to everything that we do, and this guy that I'm working with does color, and we kind of wanted to see what color would do for the brand, and so far it's been a small little hit for me. I'm overwhelmed by the success of this book, given the scope of it. There's a neat little cover. You scrolled past it earlier, but it's a neat variant cover. It's only one variant cover on this campaign. I normally have like 3 or 4, sure. But due to the fact that this is a Western cyberpunk, I decided to stop. There you go. I decided to make a Trigon variant. So if you've seen or read the manga Trigon, you would not be amiss to get this one. So just kind of staying on theme and just like I said, trying something new. So if you've never heard of me or seen anything Crystal Inc., then this is like a perfect Kickstarter for you. But if you have seen me, then you know what I'm about.
Cool. Now this is a one shot. Is this a limited series?
It's so originally it was a one shot. When I made the Kickstarter, I made it earlier this year, and I was gonna do like a whole 90-page book, and then I hit my head and decided not to do that. So instead, I figured I was gonna do like a very short issue series. So on the link that you do see, it does say one shot. I can't change that, but this is about, I want to say, at least 4 to 5 issues long, with the next issue I think coming out sometime in the middle of next year.
All right. That's cool. Listen, you've already funded. You got 14 hours to go, so everybody go check this out. This actually looks, well, I mean, all your books look really good. I mean, but this, the color does make it pop,
Yeah,
But
and this is the our first book that has a Project We Love sticker, which to the
cool.
death for the life of me, I'll never know what that really does. But we have
It does nothing.
I heard. Yeah, I heard. And it's kind of what it feels like. But whenever I tell certain people that, they like, oh my God. And I'm like, yeah, I guess.
It's more like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
It's the Kickstarter equivalent of the teacher giving you a banana sticker. But hey, it feels good, so might as well roll with it.
As an educator, I don't like you.
We've all been to as a teacher too, Chris. I think everybody has been in this industry.
It's like a little gold star, except it's not gold. It's more like bronze.
It's not. Hopefully they'll run that back and actually do something with it, because I don't. It's like an algorithm boost, but it shows it to the people that have already scrolled past it. So I don't know what that does for them.
Right.
Yeah. But seriously, it looks really, really nice.
Well, thank you. I was very glad to send it to you, and you were like, "Hey, on the exact day before it ends, I want you on the show."
Yep,
that's cool.
All right, cool. Very nice, very nice. All right, real quick, I will pop up. Oh no, wait a second. We'll do the other Mark. Mark, I'm gonna play your video.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Your style is unorthodox.
So this is the Magic Notes Plus. This is our anthology that we do. We on issue 4 right now. We went back to color. We were doing black and white for one issue, but people want to see color, so it's a lot more fun. So this. Yeah, you can see we do a whole bunch of different genres and stuff in this anthology too.
You enjoy.
Thing is, with Seed is also in our manga, so we put the color in the Magic Notes Plus, and in our manga we put black and white. So this is our manga from Shining Taku. It's Origami Super Punch. It's the world's most dangerous manga magazine, because we put, we kind of go to lap here. With what we put in there, we kind of don't try to, censor a lot of the subject matter. We want people to be kind of free in what they're talking about. So with the China Taku, we're partnered with Urban Johnson. Urban has China Taku now for gotta be going on 15, 16 years. He's been working really hard, so I appreciate it. Definitely. So as you guys can see, we got a lot of different genres here. From romance to isekai, from shonen to shoujo. And this is our hip hop manga, hip hop battle manga. It's like shonen, and no one's ever done it, so we decided to go that route. Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
No, that's cool. When are you launching? Would this be your first Kickstarter that you launch, if you do one?
We ain't gonna do a Kickstarter, like I said, until we get ready to do the color stuff for Judah Fest. That's probably the only we're gonna go back to Kickstarters.
Gotcha. Cool. All right, so this is the Oswald Chronicles: My Time with Clive, Volume 2. We've already funded. We've got another 10 days. This is a story where Oswald's spending some time in Dream. He's lost in the hinterlands of Dream. He runs across a young angel, or he's a baby actually, and he's also happens to be a Cyclops, and he's on his own. And Oswald has promised this kid, he's like, I'm going to help you find your parents. And through various means, Oswald finds out where his parents are at, and he has to go into hell to get his parents freed from hell. And so he goes down there, and he does what he has to do to free the kid's parents. And that's basically the story. What's funny is we just reached our first stretch goal, and I added. It was originally supposed to be 96 pages. we just added another 16 pages where it's a crossover between my wife Daphne's character Ego Raven and Oswald, where I wrote a little story. So that's added in the book, and also a new something I haven't done too much of. This is also in color. So this was one of the first things we ever did in color, and we're looking to put in another short story in color if we reach another stretch goal. So hopefully that'll happen soon. So there you go. And I got another 10 days. Cool.
Sweet.
All right.
JD,
Mark.
how many times have you seen the secret?
Or are you just going to skip over mine?
You had one?
I'm literally the first link in the chat.
No.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw a link in there.
Can you resend it? Seriously, no. I got Chris, I got Marvin, I got Isaac, I got Marvin again. No, send it again, man. I swear to you. Or share it from your side and I'll just pull it up.
There, I just popped it in there.
There you go. All right. I was not snubbing you, Tom, I promise.
I was waiting for some big, like, and now we're going to have this, transition into the crazy, like, I was like, wow, he's really working right now.
Oh, yeah. Not the mighty reveal.
You want me to play the video?
Sure, I made one, so might as well. It's once a year we make a video.
Very nice. I like
There you go. Everybody's like, why don't you have a video? I'm like, because no one watches videos. It doesn't matter.
All right, Tom, walk us through. What do we got?
So it's 15 years of Big Dog Inc. And we launched Penny for Your Soul in 2010. So it's 15 years of the book. This is the continuation of the series. We've done 5 volumes of the book so far. This is a short in between series before we get back to the next big series of the book. This is Mary Magdalene's 7 Demons. So basically we are putting Mary back face to face with the 7 demons that Jesus exorcised, 2,000 years ago. This will be a two issue book. Each issue will be 40 pages. And we have JB Netto coming back to the book. He's done almost every issue of this book in 15 years. Chris Hall is doing the art. We've unlocked 3 stretch goals. 13,000 will unlock the next stretch goal. Variant covers, of course, nothing over the top. There's just like 8 of them. So that's JB's cover. And we did like the old Marvel, character frame that they did back in there. I don't know what their 30th anniversary or something. So we did our own character frame for the basic book. And we have Pedro Perez with Mary Magdalene. We have Juan Jose Rip, just an absolute legend in the industry going back decades. I was thrilled that he was willing to do something for us. We have Narcio Sousa doing our work of art, where you're going to have 100 of these made, and then each one of these colors will be like a portion of the print run. So like 50 blues and like 30 greens and so on and so on. And if you buy into one of those, you'll just get one of those at random. Then we have Steven Segovia from Marvel and Spawn doing Joan of Arc with Nia Rufino on the colors. Drax Gall, who is like just one of the crazy hottest guys in the art business right now, got him to do a Cupid cover. This is Bunny. She is our first horseman. She is War. Isanetto Adamar. And then we have our Keith Garvey is doing a series of covers this year called Lingerie Wars, where they're the old school pinup, military pinup style thing. So he's going to be doing a bunch of these all year long. Then you've got your combos. So we have there's War again in the original Hell, and then we've got the Heaven version as well. Also, remember the prices that you see, that includes your shipping. There's no extra add-on shipping. So it's $65. You get both books. Juan Jose Rip doing 2 versions.
Mhm.
And then Steven Segovia 2 versions. And then Keith Garvey going all out with the Cupid Nude Bomb set.
Right.
And if you just want all of them, it's $250 on Red. You get every one of the new books. It's a nice discounted price. Plus, again, it includes your shipping too. I got a few metal card add-ons. These were some things that I found as I was sorting out some old stuff. Dan Mendoza, Bill McKay, Mike Chrome metal card sets. We did 100 of these sets, and I've got about 15 to 20 left of each. So I threw those up there as add-ons. And then if you're new to the book, you can get everything digitally, physically, however you want to do it. Temptation of Mary Magdalene is a prequel story. Then we have our pinup book with the Showgirls. And then if you want to try out other Big Dog Inc. stuff, we've got quick catch-ups for a good portion of the rest of our titles to try other things out. And that's it. And we're still in our first week. So Tuesday will be Monday. Actually, tomorrow night will be ending the first week, and then we'll be starting week 2.
All right. So this is issue 25?
This is issue 1 of this little mini series.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So what we do is we do recurring mini series 1 through 7, and then every now and then we'll do like a smaller in between. Like the Joan of Arc book was 4 issues. This will be 2 issues, the equivalent of 4 issues because it's 40 pages, but well, it'll be 80 pages when it's done. But this will be its own 1 and 2, and then we'll come back to the next big volume, and we'll start a 1 through 7 again.
Okay, cool. And then the Omni you're doing later in the year is for Oz?
Oz will be in August. Yeah, the omnibus like mid-August into September. That'll be part of our book fair campaign that we do. So the focus will be the big Oz omnibus. It'll be like a 500-page hardcover, but then we'll also have like all of our stuff. It's literally a book fair for us. We did one last year. It was hugely popular. So we will have just everything that we have trade paperback wise and so on available on the book fair, and that'll be August.
All right, cool. I mean, listen, man, it's you always do great stuff. You got 16 days ago. You're already funded. You're at 12K. You're 164 backers. You're good. And I mean, I don't see you having any problems like probably doubling that number, if not tripling it. So
I don't know we'll get that far, but we're in good shape. Yeah.
I know stuff looks great, man.
Thank you.
So everybody, go out, get a copy now. Thank you. All right, Mr. Dudley.
What's that?
You got a question?
No. Well, again, the question I have, man, kind of goes back to where we started. With the distribution and stuff, right? So what do you guys imagine? All right, so let's say that there's another speculator boom, like we had back in the 90s. Do you guys think that speculator boom will end us right back with a monopoly distributor?
Okay, Marvin, you're up.
Ask the question again, please.
So let's say we have another speculator boom like we did in the 90s. Do you think that speculator boom will end us back up with another monopoly distributor?
It's possible because what you're seeing right now is people picking sides, kind of. Mm-hmm. So it's either they're going Lunar or Penguin Random House, but leaving everything else behind. I would hope that people will be smart enough not to repeat the past, but again, these are people and they like what they like. Right. But I think that in the stead of what's going on right now is that now you're splitting things up now again because you've got DC will be at Universal. They won't be with Lunar anymore. Sure. So you've got Marvel with Penguin. Lunar has some stuff. Then Universal, what are they going to pick up? Now they're back in the game because they're not even using the Diamond part. They're using their game distributor to distribute DC books. Mm-hmm. So now you got another piece entered into the market with that wasn't on anyone's list. No one had Universal on their list besides for DC.
All right, cool. Let me All right, Isaac, what are your thoughts?
More things change, the more they stay the same. Only now those corporations have way more power than they did in the 90s, because no longer is it about you like something. Now it's whatever logo you're wearing, whatever thing you buy, it's now a lifestyle. So it's even more powerful. I think we'd see the same thing happen, only multiplied times 10. And that means that it'll be a bubble that'll get real big, and then it'll pop, and all the people who went to cash in will simply cut up, sell off what they got, and be back at square zero again. It's if that no one believes me on that, look at the video game industry. What happened to it in the 80s? It almost died. It got saved. What's it doing right now? It's doing the same thing it did in the 80s, becoming corporate and terrible. And if comics get picked back up, that happens again. That speculation kicks off again. It'll happen again. Nobody learns their lessons. That doesn't happen.
Right. Well, they learn their lesson. It's the people that are purchasing that don't learn their lesson.
Sure.
Because
you're right. The people at the top don't care because they're going to cash out anyways. It's everybody else, the middlemen that don't learn.
Right. Don't learn.
Right.
Like you see the same train coming that's going to pass you up, but you try to stop it anyway.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Just for record, that's not my quote. I forget where I heard that from, but that wasn't me. I can't take credit.
That's oldie but goodie, Isaac.
Chris, what are your thoughts on it?
I don't have any. I was born 1992, so a lot of the comic industry stuff I was not familiar with until I became an adult.
I don't like you anymore, Chris.
You said that last time.
The speculator boom is Chris's fault. That's why it is. He was born in 92.
92 was the first year I published a book.
That's true.
Chris's fault.
But I'll give you this though. It was a good year. It was a very good year. So you were born in a very good year. So
yeah.
There you go.
I graduated from college that year.
So JD, you're saying he's vintage, is what you're trying to say right now.
Yeah, there you go. We're all vintage. So
Yeah, definitely.
Mark B, what are your thoughts on it?
So a couple of things. I think that speculator boom in the 90s came at a really critical point for producing books. Like, books were never cheaper to produce then. So more books could be produced. That you had a bunch of new printers in the business at that point in time. Mm-hmm. And what I think I'm seeing a conflict between that obvious speculator like motion. You go on, like, I don't like 90s books because there were so many of them, and it's just not my thing. I like 80s Marvel and DC. Really, that's my collection niche. And you go on to Facebook Marketplace and it's all these speculators trying to sell 90s books. And I'm like, dude, you have 1,000 X-Men #1s for a reason.
Right.
Because they were cheap and you bought them. So there's that. But then there's, we got to realize that, especially at the independent level, tariffs are affecting where you print and affecting how much you print. And I think maybe those two things will come out as a wash, but I could easily see, if those go away, the speculator market just taking right over. And I'm never like that. There are lots of people who collect comic books to get money, to do other things. That's fine. That's cool. Do what you want. I'm in it for the stories. I'm in it for the art, and I'm never going to be in it for anything else. And I'm certainly not in it to make the big cash. You were talking about boatloads of cash. I looked around the room. I didn't see any boatloads of cash.
Right.
But with perspective, like, I wanted to talk about this, about what we were talking about earlier. My goal was to make a book. That was my only goal. Like, I had worked years and years and years. And the fact that I've sold as many books as I have, and as many Kickstarter run as I have, and people on my mailing list, I'm overjoyed with my success. If I was selling 10,000 books a week through Diamond, I would be crazy. I don't want to be crazy. I want to make my boutique books and, put them in the hands of real people.
Sure.
So
Sure.
that's the thing that I love.
Gotcha. All right. Fair enough. Tom, what are your thoughts?
There will never be a speculator boom like we saw in the 90s again.
Sure.
Never, ever. Because we're talking about, it's not even that speculation has stopped. It didn't stop, but it just became more focused. There's still people that speculate on things, but it's just hyper specific things. It's not a situation where, Rob Liefeld is on the Tonight Show. Like, we don't have that anymore. There's no general awareness of comics to the world outside of the movies, and the movies do nothing to direct people back to comic book stores. That's a monstrous falsehood. I mean, to a small percentage, yes, but there's no like, hey, the Avengers came out and now the Avengers sells 1 million units. Like, that doesn't happen anymore. So the speculator market that exists is already very just in the market. It's just those people in the market. In order to get what we had in the 90s, you have to get outside of that market. And the industry does nothing to do that for itself, like nothing. They look at it as the movies market, the comics, and kind of, but not really. So we're never going to see that again. I don't think it would have anything to do with consolidation down the line. I think like we talked about earlier on, if anything, more distribution means more opportunity, which can grow the industry potentially, right? But you'll still never have a one of these distributors going into the mass market and going, you should buy these comic books. It's just not going to happen. Sure. So, yeah, I don't see it ever happening. Everything right now is there's still people that speculate. There's still people that want multiple copies, blah, 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 blah. There's still very, very print runs are very, 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 very low, which makes speculation very easy, by the way, because print runs are just naturally low right now. So there is a speculator market, but it's not going to be suddenly we're selling 1 million units again. No way.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Being around a little bit earlier, I would actually, the 90s is not this space that I would want to be involved in.
Sure.
I would rather go back a little bit earlier, 82, 83, 84.
Yeah, 85 and stuff too. Yeah, that was going
like
cool.
When there was a boom, but it was a boom primarily for independent comics, and it was black and white comics around the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when they first came out. And it was a huge boom. You had indies selling black and white comics, selling 30, 40, 50,000 copies, I mean, just insane. I mean, and there was a lot of bad stuff, but there was some really good stuff that came out of it, but there was a lot of bad stuff, but there really was a lot of quality work that came out. I don't know. It's stuff that I look upon with great fondness because I was a kid when it was coming out. But it depends where you were at and how you were where you were at that time. But it's stuff that I look at with great fondness because, like I said, I was a kid, and it didn't matter how cheesy it was. It's just that level of nostalgia for it.
Yeah, there was a moment then where you had customers that wanted something else. They wanted something besides Marvel and DC. Now, we have that happening right now in the comic book industry as well. Problem is, all those kids are looking at manga. They're not looking at comics. So their something else is legitimately, I want something else than what I'm being fed in this capacity. So that's why manga right now is going crazy. That's the I want the something else. It's manga.
Sure.
But you have to be careful with that because like a lot of people look at the manga stats and they look at the youth and they don't realize that globally
it's manga.
It's like manga's big globally because it's made and created and reaches more continents than like American comics do. And the fact that we have a huge issue with like in school literacy. So like, because I remember I work in schools. I've been working in schools for over 10 years. These kids are not reading. These kids will not read because there's no point to them to read. So us trying to like market to them is like a uphill with the rock. So when you look at we look at manga, and you look at like, oh, it's cool. Yeah, the kids are buying it. They're not reading it, but they're buying it. And that's the issue that like I've been trying to fight with like other creators where it's like, don't run to manga because of the popularity.
I'm not saying run to manga. I'm just saying that they will buy One Piece before they will ever buy Spider-Man.
Yeah, but like what's sad about that is like they'll buy it, they won't read it.
Right.
Sure.
Anime.
But I'd rather them go buy Spider-Man and not read it than manga and not read it. Because that helps my industry. You know what I'm saying? So, and then if they're in my industry, my portion of it, then they could potentially find my book and buy it and not read it. Like, I don't care if you read it once you give me the $10. You do whatever you want with it. But right now, manga is siphoning off sales because kids go to manga first, regardless of what they do with it. That is their go-to. I want this. I want One Piece. I want Pokemon. I want whatever. That's where they're going before they're going to anything sort of mainstream comics.
Yeah.
But I think there's a fanaticism there too in manga because I mean you look at something like Bleach, right? If somebody's reading that thing because at the end of that, when it ended, those kids were so mad that they jumped in that guy's butt so bad he basically changed the ending. So I mean, right? But I'm just saying, that somebody's reading it.
Yeah, I mean,
the thing is, though, manga benefits off of anime, which, unlike Marvel and DC's films, actively pushes you to go check out the manga.
Yep.
Whereas, usually, if an anime exists, it's based on a pre-existing manga, and there are differences between the two almost every time. And the creator of the manga or the show running the anime will tell you to check out the manga to find out what happened and what's different. And half the time, not always, the manga is the better option. It has more things as a fan you'll enjoy. If I watched a Batman series and the end of it, Batman comes out and decides that he's just going to kill himself for some reason. Well, that sounds like a terrible way for this to end. But in the comic, if it ends and he actually has a much better ending, now I feel like I'm pushed to go check that out. And anime does that. Americans don't.
Facts. But I mean, it's funny, Chris, because I mean, we have a massive Barnes and Nobles here downtown Manhattan, and I always see kids all over the place in the manga section, and the manga section is huge. It is like 4 or 5 aisles, and the rows got to be like 50 feet, and it's just from top to bottom all manga. I mean,
the comic section is all of 8 feet.
Yeah, what ages do you teach, Chris?
High school. So I do freshman all the way up to senior.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and I see those kids all the time, all over the floors reading the manga. You know what I mean? I just want to walk by, be like, buy a book, get the hell out of here. But because they're just sitting there reading it. I was just like, go buy a book, take it home. But
so like because this is in New York. New York is a much more diverse nationality area. I live in Indiana. I live in the Midwest. So we almost share the same rate of like kids reading levels. But like kids will grab it, kids will buy it, kids will thumb through it, kids will look at it, with all. But at the end of the day, they're not consuming manga in the exact same way that you did with comic books when you were a kid. Right. Where like you were on every word of every page because you were enticed to the story. A lot of the times, because like I have, you guys know Corey Kenshin, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Corey Kenshin is a YouTuber who finagled his way into what he calls manga, and he sold it. And a lot of his fan base are kids that were in my classroom, so they had the book in their book bags 24/7 all the time, and they would always show it to me. And they know that I work in manga as well, so they were always like, "Yo, check us out," and I would never see them open it. I would never see them go through it. It was a thing to have. So what manga now in the U.S. has become almost a like collector's item for the youth versus them opening up and reading it. But if you look at like sales base, like that's fine and dandy, like hooray, like money's being made in that field. They're not picking it up and actually like digesting it.
Yeah.
And that's just what kind of sucks for them. It's like, I'm glad that they're getting something, but just like what Daphne said here, kids don't see a point reading Catching the Ride. They have no problem reading manga and light novels.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter that they're not reading it. This is the weird part, right? I know this sounds bizarre coming from a writer, right? But it's like, did Kenner care that dudes didn't open their Star Wars toys? No, doesn't matter. They got their money for the product. The product keeps selling for whatever the reason is. Product keeps selling. What the end user does with it, who cares? Some people buy it to flip it. Some people buy it to read it. Some people buy it because they want to collect it. Some people buy it just because they like the art. Some people buy it, blah, 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 blah. So the fact is simple that sales are happening. You can't deny sales are happening. And when you talk to kids and you're like, oh, what do you read? 9 times out of 10, I talk to kids at comics. I'm like, hey, you want to see a comic? Like, nah, I just read manga. I'm like, oh, all right, great. I mean, I don't even bother with like certain ages of people in my at cons almost anymore, because 9 times out of 10, they're just going to say, I don't read or all I read is manga. So, it's not how it's digested or what's done with it. Again, it's weird because I'm a writer. I want people to read what I'm writing, but sales are happening for whatever reason. And it's taking away from them finding what we do in that, sort of comic book space that we exist in, because also with them, they see a very distinct difference. And there is a difference to some degree, but they see a very distinct difference between what is a manga and what is a comic book, even though they're sort of generically the same. Manga is designed differently. It's designed to be far more visual than a lot of American comics are. So, take that for what you will.
Well, the thing is,
Line.
So the average person, American comics is Marvel, DC.
Right.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, I find Yoshi here, he has an interesting thing. He says, do people read comics in the open in America? Now, I can't speak for you guys. Like I said, I live in New York City. I ride the subways every day. I have seen people pull out trade paperbacks and graphic novels and read them in the trains.
Sure.
Right. We get a lot of, obviously you have a lot of book readers, but I have seen people do that.
And you also have people that buy comics that don't read them. They're just buying it for the cover. I mean, again, the end user, in theory, if people were buying it and reading it and getting more invested in it, we could potentially, again, grow what we're doing. But we can't decide how the end user uses their product. As long as we get their $10, that's really all we can do at that point. And then we hope that whatever it is that they bought, they enjoyed it, so they come back and give us another $10 next month.
See, one thing I like about what Mark, you're doing, Mark, with the libraries is that you're creating community. And that's the thing with manga right now that people understand. It's a community. Those kids, Chris, that you're dealing with, that thing is a community for them. Right at the end of the day, they may have 2 people who actually read it, but then they'll talk about it. Then they're going to have to go back and read it. And like you said, it's like whoever was saying, shoot, they may not be reading it in your class. But again, when they get in their social groups, that social group asking them what happened, what they think about this, they're going to read that manga.
Oh, for sure.
At the end of the day. So what Chris, like I said, you building community, and that's what I think ultimately we in the comic, I think we're so insular in the comic space that we don't build community.
All right.
It's also important to understand that buying something and using it are 2 very different hobbies.
Sure.
Meet someone who likes Warhammer 40K, and you will learn that real quick.
Yeah.
Just because they buy it doesn't mean they use it. They just like to have it. And
That's the first time I have ever heard you use pimp analogy for comic books.
We said we wouldn't talk about my other job, Chris.
My fault, Daddy.
I didn't know you were in Indiana, Chris. I'm in Bloomington. So Indiana represent. We could take over from New York City in this house. Yeah.
That's you know what? That's something I've been looking at. We don't really have like a iconic comic book in this state, and I was like, I might have to do that next year or something.
My books take place in the state, man.
Well, there you go.
Going back to what Mark said, if you look at what Isaac did, Isaac talked to his people, surveyed his people, listened to his people, and all that community building means that he's got more people signed up for his Kickstarter than ever before.
Sure.
And that sort of community building, and for me, community outside of standard comic book readers is where I try to find my space as much as possible.
Sure.
Now, again, I'm lucky. I'm privileged. I'm not doing this as a living. You know, this is a second income for me. So I understand that I would make different decisions if I was doing this as an income only situation. But that's kind of what part of the business is now, is you have people who do other things and make comics.
Sure. So what we do to build community, Mark, is that I teach, me and my guys, we teach at a lot of these comic conventions and a lot of these anime conventions. We go through the whole gamut of teaching these youngsters how to get in there, how to, build a comic, how to write a comic or manga. They, at the end, we get plenty emails afterward, like, oh man, you guys wanted to show, you want to check out my manga and whatever, stuff like that. And like even in Shine Otaku portion of our business, we're going to be doing a contest soon for doujinshi. Have people, go in there and show us what they got, and if we like it, we're going to put out a whole book with just doujin in it, just to build it, So,
are you gonna so when you do that, are you gonna promote that in Japan too?
The thing is this, right? We're trying to stick to original English language manga right now. One of our other long-term business goals is actually start importing doujin from there and putting it out. But right now we're focusing on the original English language manga market. Right?
JD's from that imprint of OEL. I detest OEL. Modern OEL. Yeah, it's because so. And JD, I'm not. Once again, I don't want to step on you because I first of all I got your manga on a Kickstarter.
Well, aren't you putting on OEL?
Oh, I hate so. Wait, are you talking about me doing OEL?
Aren't you putting on OEL right now?
No, what? I'm not.
Okay.
No, I got a whole book that's already been translated in Japanese.
Yeah, but I just said. Okay.
So here's what it is. If is it OEL in practice? Sure. But do I call it OEL? Fuck no. OEL tells
you can call a monkey an ape, but it's still a monkey.
I mean, if you see a monkey where I see a panda, that's fine with me. OEL tells other countries that. So all right. Let me go back.
Oh, America. I've heard all the arguments, Chris.
Oh, you have? Oh, well, take this one
out. Outside of here.
In short, America has fucked OEL. We don't have a standard, and so until we get a standard, I don't want nothing to do with that moniker.
Well, my thing with OEL at the end of the day is this: everybody's running from making a standard. You can't out Japanese, buddy.
Well, sure. I would like us to have. I'm with you on that, but until we all come together in some kind of fashion for that, I can't deal with it.
Yeah, we should talk about this outside of here because we could be talking for hours.
Because it's funny because when I did what I did, it was completely in a vacuum. So it's like I didn't have any context to any of that stuff, and it was just like I was just hired to do a job, and I did it. You know what I mean? It was like hired to do a job, did the best job I could do, move on. It wasn't even a thing about. I never even thought about this is original anime, whatever, because it wasn't a thing back then.
No, and that's why like when you did it, it was great. That's why I was like, I don't want to jump on you like, hey JD, this is no.
We had a meeting with Kujo Mayakawa not too long ago, probably about 2 years ago, and we met the brother, and he does Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, right? And so the thing that he was saying that was interesting to me, And I said to my guys, and that's why I got the phrase, pretty much you can't out Japanese the Japanese. And when you go to Japan, you want to do something different than what they do. And what I find is that most of the books around here are basically what I call fan books. That, you know, they're like, oh, you know, this is something I see, you know, in the and it's usually very cursorily the Japanese stuff. You know, it's not original stuff. It's cursorily like Japanese stuff. And they'll be like, oh, I love this from Japan or whatever. You know, I mean, again, it's just an opinion.
All right, gentlemen, let's move on. I think we kind of beat it to death. So listen, I got one for you. What's a trend in comics you would like to see go away? Right? Because we all see these trends, whatever they may be. We all have our pet peeves, right? You know. So Mark, we'll put you in the hot seat. What are your thoughts?
Mark
Now,
Bell, hot seat.
Oh, Mark B, excuse me.
Okay. You know, there are books in DC and Marvel that have an 80s feel to them.
Mhm.
Like Batman and Robin Year One right now. I think that book has a nice feel to it. What I'd like to see is complete stories in a comic, because I love complete stories, and all my books have complete stories. You can pick up the issues out of order. There's a bigger story being told, but it's a start, a middle, and a finish in that story that I see isn't there in the big two the way it used to be. There are very few capsule issues, and there are very few comics that are capsule comics. Now, some books are meant to be longer books, and I understand that telling a longer story is important to them, but I like complete stories. So I'd like to see more of those.
That's fair. Marvin, what are your thoughts?
Me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, it sounded like you said Martin. I'm like, who the hell is that?
Yeah, Marvin.
So it's the old standard reboot the book over and over again for years and years. Don't let the characters grow, change, or do anything special with like you're just repeating the same story over and over again. Like I think Green Goblin's back again for like the 1000th time in Spider-Man.
Oh, wait a minute. His parents died in an alley and there was a guy.
Well, no, I think his parents are they back to life, or there's something new they found out about the parents. Now I think they stole it from one of the movies where they were spies, or they were like with S.H.I.E.L.D. or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nope. That's why I stay away from those books. Isaac, what are your thoughts?
Same drum I've been beating for 10 years, and it's that we've forgotten that comic books are supposed to be fun. Everybody's trying. We have this weird thing where it's both Marvel and DC are guilty of it. Everybody's trying to out-edge each other and make darker and darker and grittier stories. I'm not a 14-year-old worshiping Sephiroth in Final Fantasy. I'm not that guy. I want it to be fun. I think it's okay if Batman has to beat Joker in a surf contest. That's fine. Let it be fun. Just stop trying to beat this dark, gritty. Like it's the same thing they just said with the reboots. We're going to reboot it. We're going to make it dark. We're going to make it grittier. This time, Batman's a hobo with a addiction to porn. No, just let it be fun. It doesn't need to be anything else. Reality sucks enough and is miserable enough for 99% of us. Let us have that escapism of, oh, this was fun and enjoyable. Thank you.
You take an indie book like Ducks, which is about a young woman going to her first job in the oil fields in Alberta. It is a tough freaking subject, and there are brilliant moments of levity in that book. They do not forget that comics are about fun sometimes.
Isaac said to not out-edge anybody, and I was trying not to laugh at that.
All right, that was funny.
I don't use your child terminology. So
I all over Chris on this mug, huh?
That's my mentor.
No, I can tell.
Chris, what are your thoughts?
When you were a kid, you were sitting there booting up Xbox 360. When I was a kid, we were wearing Charlotte Journals windbreakers, sitting in a Plymouth Prowler listening to Backstreet Boys. Okay, different time period.
I was doing the same thing as you. I was born in 92, not 2002.
Nothing is stopping you from still doing that, Isaac.
All right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The price and reliability of the Prowler would stop me.
Hey, look, me and Jay do still do other things with windbreakers. Car break it.
So, Chris, what are your thoughts on the question?
Is it just the like comic book industry or like indie comics?
Well, it's the comic book industry, indie comics, however you want to, whatever portion you want to focus on.
Isaac kind of already said what I was going to say. But instead of it being about the big two, it's more about what's in like the indie comic space, where people are doing more of like trying to write towards what could be substantially a better payout at the end. But I would like to see more people take more risk and write things that are not so much tailored towards what's selling and more like what are you coming from. It's too many books being made that are about things that like people that are writing have never been through, but because they're able to sell to an audience, it works out. I want to see more personal books. I want to see more bumps and failures because it just feels better to read those for me.
You get on to me, and then you come out and say you want to feel more bumps. Okay.
You got
it. I gave you a softball. There you go.
Nice. All right, Tom, what are your thoughts?
I want the homage cover to go away. I'm not even against the idea of the homage cover, but everybody just does the same ones over and over and over and over again. The value of it is practically zero now. But I know that there are people who literally just buy anything that has that cover. Like, oh, I love that cover. I'm buying 8,000 versions of this thing. Doesn't matter what it is. I've seen these collections. I know these folks. So it sells, and I get it. But there are too many companies, creators, whatever, that basically they give me a sense of my book probably won't sell unless I do something like this. And that's a big red flag. If all I see coming out of your company is just homage covers, that's a red flag for me for kind of everything that you're making. I don't care if you've got a deep cut and you've made it something really cool. Awesome. Show me those deep cuts. I've seen some amazing deep cut homages, but it's got to be relevant to your character, to your brand. It's got to be something that makes sense to what's going on within your book and not just another Spider-Man 300 homage. You know what I mean? Like, just you gotta go back to creativity and find your deep cut space within that space. Otherwise, every time I see it, I just keep shaking my head.
It's kind of funny that you mentioned Spider-Man 300. I saw a homage cover to that yesterday. I'm like, why would you do that to your character? There's no way they can get into that position. It doesn't even make sense. Why are you doing this?
I was gonna say, did you like my Trigon cover, Tom?
I'm not even an anime guy, and I recognize that. I was like, oh, I know what that is. So you made it right. It's also something that I don't see all the time. Sure. So it fit with what you're doing. You were on brand, you were on genre, you were on what I would consider a deep cut. So yeah, I think that worked really well for you.
I get it. Yeah, now I get you because okay, so it's people that are just pulling like the Akira bike slide, but it's like a fucking food truck comic.
We've done it.
Yeah.
We've done it. Yeah. We've been there. You know what I mean? Unless you've got a real unique way of presenting it, like that's a been there, done that. But for you, and I'm sure somebody's probably done the Trigun thing before, but for you, it fits everything that your book is and ties into something that even a casual person knows what it is. So I think you did a good job on it.
I got a sentimental story for you, Tom, about that. So my second issue of Strange Rangers about these troll badgers that take over the park that the ranger is in. There's thousands of them. They're little, they're furry, they're mischievous, they're crazy, right? So my artist, who's a young woman from Fort Wayne, Indiana, doesn't know anything about the cultural references that I bring to her several times. She did a Trouble with Tribbles cover of Kirk with the tribbles all over him, but they were the Strange Ranger with the troll badgers. And I was like,
It's good.
that's deep cut.
That's a good deep
Nobody
cut.
I've seen has done that, and it
Yeah.
fits the story.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yep. Deep cuts. Give me deep cuts, man. Like I can tell you, we've done some homages and tributes and stuff. Like we did one a couple of years ago. It was the 40th anniversary of the Cannonball Run. So we put a couple of our girls in the Lamborghini, and people. It was really interesting. It was very eye catching. People went to it immediately, and it was really 50-50 that they even knew what the hell they were looking at. Like there was 50% going like, "Whoa, my God, that's a Cannonball Run," and then there were people buying it going like, "I don't know what the Cannonball Run is, but this is a really cool." Visual of it. So if you can find the deep cuts, I think you'll really attract an eye that you might not even realize you can find.
I do a lot of. I'm a hip hop head, so I'll do like covers that will be like hip hop energy. Like I know in Wu-Tang, the guy, the genius, he has this. I don't know, some type of picture he took with him with two Desert Eagles. So I've done that before, and then people have like, people in the people who are in the know have been like, man, that's from Wu-Tang, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I mean, that type of stuff I do in terms of alternate covers, but in terms of other homage covers, I'll stay away from them too. At the end of the day.
Okay. Cool. So Mark D, what was your answer for the question?
Well, the thing is that I'm taking some of Isaac and I'm taking some of Mark B, because the thing is this, you want to be able to let comics be fun again, obviously. And I think the way to do that they're not doing is, they like right now they got the Ultimate Universe again in Marvel.
Which is canceled, by the way.
Oh, they canceled it, but the thing is that those books
again.
Those books, man, that's some of the best books they have been doing, right? So if it's me, I'm like, okay, I'll focus on that, and then I'll focus on the younger line. They got the money to do that. And then on top of that, and I would also, like, especially with my younger line, I would do what Mark B says. I would definitely make sure that those books are self-contained.
All right, cool. Look, we got a miscreant that showed up.
Yeah, he's at the airport right now.
Yeah, look at that guy.
I just got back, fellas. What's up, everybody? Thanks for having me on. Long-time listener, first-time caller. And I don't know what everybody thought with it not having that infinite crisis where Superman is holding the Supergirl dead body. Come on, everyone should be making homage covers like that, guys. Come on.
Me and Tom are leaving, JD. You get back on.
That's true. We're all leaving in about a few minutes. Yep. I don't know. I mean, for me, it's always a thing of those damn multiple covers that Marvel and DC does. Yeah. I mean, it's not even a thing. I don't mind them doing alternative covers, but when it's 50 per book or 12 per book, I mean, it just gets excessive. I mean, but you see it from them, you see it from Dynamite, and it's just like, what the hell is going on? It's like, I mean, I do books. I tend to cap it. I try to cap it at like 6 covers, when I do those. But man, when you see 15 covers, 20 covers, 30 covers, like, what the hell is going on, man?
Well, and then each cover has 4 versions of it,
right.
Like, it's out of control. And again, it's red flag. It tells me that you're not selling a comic book. It tells me that you are selling this quote unquote collectible. And that's what your brand is just that. And like we talked about, people aren't reading. That's literally the example of, I'm going to buy all 4 of those covers. Right. And chances are whoever's buying that is not reading.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's funny, in the slightest defense of that, it's the reason why I give away a PDF, in the hopes that they'll read the damn PDF. They don't have to.
Sure. Yeah, I do the same thing. Yeah, if you buy the book, you get a PDF. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So they can bag the other one, huh?
Oh yeah, they can bag everything else. They can just read the damn PDF.
Oh yeah, no.
All right, gentlemen, we've made it to hour 2. Jay, it was nice having you on for 5 minutes.
Thank you.
You know, so please, Jay, start. We'll start with you. Where can we find you and your work, sir?
UnstoppableComics.com. You'll find all of my social media links right there on the website, and then catch the Shield of the Interceptor #6 launching on Kickstarter mid-July, and the Shield of the Interceptor action figure Hellbound versus Heroes launching late September.
Very nice. Chris, where can we find you and your work, sir?
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everything is Crystal Inc. So ChrisTyleInc. The S is shared in Chris in style because I'm like that. Mark Dudley would know that Crystal is also a code word for Crystal.
Absolutely.
I am also part of the hip hop fanatical, but no, just that's where I'm at. Braveheart Exile ends tomorrow morning at 10 EST. So if you're still thinking about it, grab it, especially for like $5.
There you go. Mark, where can they find you and your work, sir?
PlagueDoctorPress.com. Chris, I'm going to be back in your book as soon as we're done. We need to get together and talk if we're local, especially. And I got to shout out JD. Your Islanders won the draft this year.
Way to go, Isles.
For sure. I'm trying to find more people local, so definitely.
Yeah, but my Panthers took the cup, so.
Oh, goodbye. I'm gone, man.
Fun. I used to work for the NHL. Go right ahead. I like every
Dude,
team
I'm a
minus
Leafs
1 or 2.
fan. You know what I am.
The Islanders.
Look, for the years I worked with the NHL, when I had to work down in Miami with the Panthers, whatever
those
team
were
they were
rough years,
playing,
man. Yeah.
have more jerseys in the house than theirs. So I'm glad to see them finally get somewhere.
Yeah.
It's
nice to see Longo get a cup.
Red Wings, son.
I'm done with like Buffalo wings, actually.
All right. So, Mark, where can they find you and your work?
Mark
B.
Yes, I have Mark Bell.
Yes, Mark
Get
B.
him, Mark Bell.
PlagueDoctorPress.com. All the socials are all the same. Spirit #3 is coming out this summer, and Strange Ranger 2 is coming out this summer, and I will be hitting up 2 more Kickstarters in the fall for the next issues of those.
All right, cool. Marvin, where can they find you and your work, sir?
TheEdgeComic.com, comicsburg.com. Look up on those. All the socials are available there.
All right, nice. Isaac.
Yeah.
Where can they find you, sir?
Mostly, you won't find me. You'll find the people who work with me.
Right.
I'm notoriously myself, but you can find us over on Facebook at Foxy. It's Astral Ticket Comics. ATS. They changed it. Astral Comics. Same with Instagram. Same with Blue Sky. Yeah, Blue Sky. We're on Twitter. We don't really use it anymore. It's kind of just a thing. For the most part, though, the best place to find us is going to be Kickstarter, Astral Ticket Kickstarter, or you can go to our comic at foxycomics.com. But if you're looking for certain kinds of variants, those that don't have the clothes on, you'll have to message us directly because we had to take those off the site because of a particular credit card organization that I'm not going to name, but I do hope their founders burn in hell.
Oh, well.
There you go.
Also, if you can't get a hold of him, get a hold of me.
That's true.
There you go.
That's my agent. Talk to him.
Yeah.
Tom, where can they find you and your work, sir?
BigDogInc.com. We're on all the social places. You can look me up. You can look up Big Dog Inc. Find us everywhere.
All right. Mark D.
Okay, so you can find us at imaginosworkshop.com, and our Shining Otaku affiliate guys, you can find them actually on YouTube at Shining Otaku on YouTube. So look that up.
All right, cool. And listen, everyone. So you can find me at JD Calderon, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those different places. Next Sunday, probably back here. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But please check out the show notes. In those show notes is everybody's links. Click on those links. Go pick up these books from these creators. All these creators deserve your respect. They all deserve, your support because they're all doing great books. So please click on those links, buy those books, and remember, read more indie comics, especially ours. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.